everyone, and there being a quorum present, I call the Finance Committee meeting to order. This meeting is being held in accordance with the rules and or I should say policies and rules for remote meetings as posted on the town website, and in accordance with Governor Baker's executive orders covering the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. That said, I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing that was closed, or closed and post to be reopened tonight. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Make a motion to open the public hearing, reopen.
Okay,
the
and a
public
second?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. This vote and all votes this evening will be taken by a roll call vote. So Barry?
Barry, aye.
And Heather?
Aye.
Okay, Sue?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Gopal?
Aye.
Okay, Dan, we are voting on whether or not to open the public hearing.
Aye.
Okay, and Irene, aye. I declare the motion carried. And even though we just did a vote, I'm going to do a formal attendance by roll call as well, since that is called for. So members of the Finance Committee, Barry?
Barry, present.
Heather?
Aye.
Sue?
Present.
Angelina?
Present.
Andy?
Present.
Gopal?
Present.
Okay, Dan?
Present.
Okay, and Irene here. Also present our Finance Committee Secretary, Susan Fiacco.
Present.
Town Administrator, Evan. Okay. Finance
Present.
Director,
Sorry.
Mary. Mary, are you here?
Present.
Okay. And lastly, our Management Analyst and Communication Specialist, William Blake.
Present.
Okay, so everybody is present and accounted for. At this time, do we have anybody in the audience? We do. We have two people in the audience, Dave Robbins and Marilyn Kusher. So Susan's going to help me keep track if anybody has questions during the public hearing portion of this meeting. The first item on the agenda is to review the two warrant articles that we have not yet voted on. And those would be warrant articles from the annual town meeting. Sue, do you want to start the screen share for me? Or actually, you don't have to, I just have to do it. So guys, bear with me while I get over to the right screen. Okay, and is this the right one? Nope, not that one. Don't mind me, I have several things open, so it's just gonna take me a minute to make sure I'm opening the right one.
Is it 34?
Okay, so is everybody seeing the page that says May 25th, 2021 Finance Committee Worksheet?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so as it notes on the top, all the articles for the special town meeting we have taken a vote on. We will be reviewing the recommendations later. The annual town meeting warrant, we have voted on all but two of the articles. The first one that needs our attention is Article 34. So I will scroll down the page to Article 34. And this is the article having to do with Whitney Park. And the original article called for money to do a design and I guess you could say feasibility study. And we were waiting to hear back from Ray Mead. Engine Company 2 were the original submitters. They were going to do some volunteer work and look to CPC for funding. And as of this time, they have decided not to move forward with this, and they're actually withdrawing the warrant article in effect by, they're going to recommend that it be passed over. So does anyone have any questions or thoughts on this article?
May I make a motion?
Yes.
The Finance Committee pass over this article.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so at this point, discussion on the motion, which is to pass over, which is also basically discussion of the article itself. Anyone have any comments or thoughts?
I just have a comment. First of all, there was discussion that this was going to be a new park. It's not a new park. It was already there. He just wanted to replace it and move it a few hundred yards from where it was. The number was not definitive because there was never any design or scope. And I feel bad that North Grafton is not going to get something. It seems like the center of Grafton gets everything. And I hope Ray comes back in a short time and rethinks and redesigns that place because it really needs some beautifying.
Oh, I agree. I definitely hope that at some point in the very near future that somebody comes back with a proposal, but it's definitely going to need to be, I believe, a much scaled down proposal from what they had initially been thinking for a number of reasons, which will be best discussed at such time as it comes forward. Prior to the meeting, we were all just talking and I mentioned that given the size of the parcel and the likely best use, this may actually be a good candidate for a project, either an Eagle Scout through Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts. I think it's their Gold and Silver Awards. They do similar type projects. So that's a possibility. So those of you familiar with those organizations, kind of throw that out to the leaders. If they've got scouts coming forward looking for projects, this might be a good one for them. So again, just a possibility. And again, maybe in a future, and again, I hope it's in the very near future, Parks and Recreation maybe approaches CPC and we'll see what we can do. Because I'm with you, Sue. I agree that that area definitely could use some attention. Just not that project, in my opinion, not the proposal that they had.
But we don't know what they had because it was never designed or scoped.
Well, the two
my
bids that
point.
they had, did you read the two bids?
Well, I don't know how they gave him numbers without seeing anything. That's the
Oh, I
point I'm
know.
trying to make. They were guessing.
I almost got the feeling, I mean, I know they mentioned the park, but to me, it almost seemed like they were similar to, oh, let's just take what we thought we were going to do for Super Park and move it over here. That was almost the impression I got.
That's not what I got, but that park has been there for a long, long time.
Oh, you
So-
know, I don't mean that Ray did that. The people that were responding,
Oh,
the impression I got from them, not from Ray.
that's true.
Excuse me, Madam Vice Chair. Barry has his hand raised.
Okay, Barry? Thank you, Sue. That's why I asked you to keep track for me.
You're welcome.
Barry.
Yeah, so what that says is that the information written for Article 34 right now needs to be changed. Right?
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
And I still have difficulty identifying, we have a park. Affordable Housing Trust has not expressed an interest in taking over that park. So my thought is, since the park is feet away from this target location, if you're going to do something with the existing park. More benches, a walking thing around it, and put it there rather than put it where the Washington Mills truck turnaround is. But that's my own opinion and we can go with it. So somehow this article would have to be revised, rewritten.
Why? It's going to be passed over.
Yeah, Ray has indicated they intend to recommend passing over the article. They no longer support it.
So we're just passing over. We don't have to rewrite anything.
No, we just have to rewrite the recommendation.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's what I meant. We have to rewrite the recommendation because right now it says the Finance Committee believes we should do this. So
Right.
that,
But we never voted. That was just somebody putting in a placeholder.
Right.
Yes,
so
that is it.
who is going to rewrite it?
We'll handle that. As soon as you vote, it'll magically change
Okay,
by William typing over wherever he is.
Irene, excuse me, Gopal has his hand raised.
okay, Gopal?
No, I'm
Yeah.
just curious. The person who submitted this warrant article has said that they're withdrawing it.
Yes.
So I understand that we have different ideas on what could be done in the future, but I'm just curious if it is relevant right now for this discussion.
No, it just goes into the public record. Anyone, whoever listens to the meeting can hear it,
Okay, thank you.
but it has no legal standing. It's just a way to start discussion. Anybody else have any comments? Because I'm in gallery view, but I can't see everybody, but let me see if I can.
Barry, is your hand still raised?
Not
Nope.
now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so there being no further discussion, I am going to call for a vote. So bear with me. I can't see everybody. Hopefully I'll get everybody. Barry.
Barry, nay.
Okay, so you don't want to pass over.
Okay,
Okay, the
I
motion
don't want that
we are
part
voting on is to
there.
pass over Article 34.
yeah, pass over Article 4.
Okay, so Barry says A. Okay, Gopal,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Angelina,
Aye.
Andy.
Aye.
And did I get everybody? Irene, aye. I declare the motion carried. Okay, next article for discussion, Article 40. Article 40 was the infamous marijuana retail one. So the way we left it was, how can we write this, okay, to try and preserve having a maximum of 3 retail marijuana establishments in town, given that that seems to be, based on previous votes and discussions at town meeting, what the residents of the town would be most in favor of. Dave Robbins was nice enough to come up with some wording, which, while a little bit stilted, for lack of a better word, certainly seems as though it would achieve that objective and be within the confines of the statutes. So I am going to change, I'm going to stop screen
Irene,
tab and start with another one. Yes,
did we vote on Article 40 yet?
we did not.
So I
So
would,
again, this was, the recommendation that's in here was put in strictly as a placeholder.
right. So
Correct.
I would like to make a motion that we recommend passage of Article 40 as written.
Okay, and do I have a second? Okay, so we don't have a second. So before we get to that, so I have a question for you. When we say as written, okay, are we talking about the written warrant that was published or the motion that's made on the town meeting floor?
I
The
make a
warrant.
motion on the warrant.
Okay. So what happens if we're saying that we would support as written, which is 50%, but what we really want to support, okay, is the new version, which I'm assuming will be presented as the motion to be made on the town meeting floor?
Well, excuse me for 1 sec. So the select board may or may not take up the language as suggested by Mr. Robbins, right?
Okay.
So, you know, in reviewing all of the laws around the Cannabis Control Commission and the guidance for municipalities, it would be the town's opinion that if that number was decreased from 50% of the number of license issued to 40%, that would give us a ratio of 2.4 because we only have 6 licenses that are given now.
7.
We have 6. You, in your previous meeting, someone from FinCom said 7, but the number is actually 6 when I had them pull the actual licenses for package stores.
We just, there was a brand new one issued to not Village Dairy, I'm sorry. The convenience store across from Wyman Gordon. Has somebody else since dropped their license?
When we checked our records, there's only 6 that are listed.
Really? Interesting. So we had 5. Not,
That's my understanding, yes.
Oh, okay.
So if we were to adjust it to 40%, that gives us a number of 2.4, which would then serve the purposes of what we're trying to achieve.
In the
There
short,
is no concurrence that you could then add any language that may say, but no more than 3 or something like that.
right.
So I did find where that roundup language comes from, and that's in a municipal guidance document that's really talking about licenses less than 20%. Or if you had your 20% limit and you had a non-whole number, so 1.4, 1.8, the CCC recommends that you round up.
Okay.
It does not talk about what happens if you have more than your 20%. However, given that there's no guidance nor case law on what would happen, council's opinion is that if we wound up with a number 2 point something, that would round up to 3.
Okay. Okay, Barry, you had your hand up first.
Yeah, would we eliminate a lot of confusion if we just added to the recommendation something such as recreational and marijuana retailers permitted in Grafton relative to 50% of the number of licenses issued, which would be 3. Just put that in there.
I believe that we're going to change the motion that is made on town meeting floor to say 40%.
Okay, but I'm saying just add the phrase 3. So we don't have to worry about arguing about the percentage or the number of licenses for this or that, but we're raising it to 3 potential marijuana dispensary licenses.
Okay, but this is what Evan said, that the information that he received from council was that because the state put it as a percentage, though their focus was primarily on minimum percentage, you can't put in a number. The state doesn't want you to do that. They want you to work with percentages.
We can put in a number in our recommendation.
Oh, I see what you're saying versus the town versus the motion.
Right.
Yeah, because we're trying to clarify things for town meeting attendees.
Yeah, I don't think I'm crazy about that. Okay, so Angelina, you had your hand up. Have you taken it down? Angelina?
He answered my question. It was just about whether that 2.4 would get us to the 3 that we needed. So
Gotcha.
it sounds
Okay.
like it does. Yeah.
Okay, Gopal, you have your hand up?
Yeah, the question I have, I'm confused when this comes for a vote because we have added some stuff to our recommendation. But what we have added, is that actually in the warrant? That it's 50%? Or will the select board go and have to modify that?
No, so you can't modify the article. The article is set in stone because that's what we posted. So
Okay.
what the select board would do is modify the motion to be incongruent with Article 40, and it would say, you know, that it would be the exact same verbiage but with 40% rather than 50%. And we believe that since the town has been warned via the warrant that we were discussing relative to 50%, that a reduction of 40% would be within the 4 corners of the article and therefore deemed to be acceptable.
Would be in order. Okay.
In order, yes, there's the words I was looking for.
Okay.
It's not coming.
So if I get this number right, every 2 alcohol licenses that are given out, if the 50% or if the 40% holds and numbers are rounded up, actually the numbers cannot be rounded or can be rounded up because there's no guidance.
Well, absent guidance, it appears that if you take the recommendation of the Cannabis Control Commission of less than 20% and apply it reasonably across the board, that's where the roundup standard comes from.
So which basically means that it's equivalent to 50%. For every 2 alcoholic licenses that are given out, the number of marijuana licenses will increase by 1.
If it's 50% versus.
No, even if it's 40%, because you'll round up.
No, because
because-
40% of 10 is 4.0. The maximum number of licenses that we have available, 10, 40%.
Yeah, I understand. So here's maybe I didn't get to enough. 7 is 2.8, which is 3.
Yep,
8 times 4, 3.2 is 4. So 2 alcoholic licenses, 1 extra marijuana license.
right,
9 times 4 is 3.6, still stays at 4.
right.
10 goes to 4. That means for 2 new licenses that are given out, you would give out 1 marijuana license. That's what I was saying, that
Oh,
for
okay,
every
Yep.
2 licenses, you would give out a marijuana license, which is 50%.
right. If people applied.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now, are we doing this because we have given, what was it called? 3, what is it?
Community host agreements.
Host agreements. Is that why? And there's a possible threat of a lawsuit or something that we want to protect the town?
No, so the town's official position is we don't respond to the threat of lawsuit.
Okay,
What the conversation has been is that we have opportunity for economic growth with these new businesses coming online. And if we have interest from 3 companies, that perhaps 3 is the number that should be pursued.
yeah, and the fourth one isn't going to come along unless they feel that they're going to make money too. That's
The fourth is in a bit of flux because there's been some turnover with corporate ownership and so on. So
Regardless, I'm not talking about anyone specific. I'm saying in general, whether it's the existing host agreement company or somebody yet unknown.
right,
somebody's
true,
Back and ask for license number 4,
right.
unless they believe that they too are going to be capable of making money at it. That's just the
Right.
economic reality. So I want to go
I-
back to
I-
this point for further discussion. I think we were all clarifying what would happen. Let's get a motion on the floor at this point. Sue, you hadn't had a second, but let's try again. I think people are more ready now.
Well, Dan has had his hand up for quite a while.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, hold on. Who had their hand up? I don't see one.
Me.
Okay, sorry, Dan.
So, yeah, I'm really skeptical about this rounding up thing. Like the language here says that it's limited to 50%. If 50% is 2.4, 3 exceeds that limit. So I really I'm very skeptical about that. And I would worry that, this is just wide open to interpretation at the point of enforcing it, which is also open to interpretation, what that point is when this would be enforced.
Okay, so
And then if it ends up in court, then it's out of our hands entirely as a town. It's up to a judge how this would be rounded. So I guess I'm just really not comfortable kind of assuming that it's going to round to 2.4 to 3.
I personally think that you probably have the right as the town to choose either. But given that the state specifically said you will base this at a minimum of 20%, and we have some very small towns which may only have 1 or 2 licenses available, and they pick the 20% minimum that the Cannabis Commission has given them, okay, they would have to be rounding up because 20% of 1 is 0.2 and 20% of 2 is 0.4.
But the difference is we're talking about minimums and maximums. It's saying that you have to allow a minimum of 20%.
Right,
We're setting in this bylaw a maximum.
Right.
That's the difference. A minimum, if you have a partial, it rounds up because if your minimum was 2.4, 3 is greater than 2.4, 2 is less than 2.4, 2 is below that minimum. But if you're talking about a maximum of 2.4, 3 exceeds that maximum. That's the difference.
okay. That's true. Angelina, you've got your hand up.
I hear what you're saying, Dan, and I want to just offer a little bit of perspective with reading and interpreting legal speak. And that is that if the council is saying that this is how we interpret this, then that's what we should go with. Doing the stuff that I've been doing in my research class last semester, there were so many things that I read that I wasn't interpreting the right way. And it took a lot of time to start to think the way that it's written. And you can kind of think yourself in a circle with this kind of thing. But if council is saying that this is what this means, I think that we have to go with that. That it doesn't make sense to doubt that they're right about their interpretation.
Okay, Evan?
Yeah, do you mind if I share my screen real quick?
Sure, let me stop sharing mine. Okay,
Okay.
Irene, while Evan is doing
hold
that, I
on,
just want
let him
to.
finish because Dan had his hand up and then I'll
No,
come
no,
back.
no, I'm not asking a question. I just want to point out that there's a hand raised in attendees, just for you, so that you
Okay,
know.
yep, thank you.
So this is the Mass Cannabis Control guidance document for municipalities. And I think what's important in how we're interpreting this is that it says if the calculation, and now remember, I had said at the beginning that this is numbers less than 20% of license, which is where we're getting our language from. Is that it says the commission recommends that the municipality round up to one retailer. If the calculation results in a fraction greater than one, the commission recommends rounding up to the nearest whole number if the municipality does not wish to limit the number of retailers to fewer than 20%. So there is some bit of interpretation as to what that means if you're setting a number higher than 20%. However, notice that it says the words, the commission recommends, which means that it is not laid out in statute anywhere. This is the commission recommending what to do if you have a number that is either less than 1 or 1 point something. And so in the conversations with council, the word recommends is important because they are setting their guidance to say that if you have a fraction, they recommend that if you do not wish to limit the number of retailers, you would round up. There is no further documentation that talks about any more than that. And again, there's no case law. So if we were to be sued, we would, in theory, be setting precedent. However, as we are the ones that get to set how we interpret what this means, it would stand to reason that if we say we're rounding up, we round up. We just have to consistently apply that metric.
Okay, I'm going to go to Dan Kusher and then I'm going to recognize Dave Robbins, one of our attendees. Dan?
Yeah, I guess, so two things. I would feel a lot more comfortable with the with council's recommendation if I understood what it was actually based on. What we just saw that that Evan shared. I mean, it's good to see that, but that looked like it was very specifically about the 20% case. It also didn't indicate what the local bylaw was actually saying. Like, is it limiting it to no more than 20% versus the state law of no less than 20%. But I would also be interested in knowing what the sources for this, the idea that we have to do limit it to a maximum of a percentage of these liquor licenses. I mean, if there's, sorry, go ahead.
So that's in the law, the percentage of the liquor licenses. That's how it's spelled out from the Cannabis Control Commission.
Is that the minimum 20% is spelled out that way, or is it also spelled out that when you set a maximum, it has to also be a percentage of the liquor licenses?
I honestly don't know that top of mind. I'd have to go back and see exactly what that language looks like. I can, while you talk and maybe recognize Dave, I can read some MGL real quick and see if I can find that.
Okay, Dave Robbins?
You have to promote him into the group.
Oops, hold on. Do I do that or Sue Fiacco, can you do that? What do I have to do to let Dave speak?
He can come down here if you want him to.
Yeah, bear with me, guys. Oh, here we
Oh,
go.
let's make Dave pop out of the background again.
Okay, Dave, now you're not allowed to talk. Go ahead.
My favorite thing ever.
Okay, okay, my Zoom tells me I'm unmuted, so maybe you guys can hear me.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so when you read Mass General Laws, Chapter 94G, Section 3, which talks about local control, you will find that it sets a floor, that 20% that we're all familiar with and probably sick of hearing about. That's the floor below which, if we want to set a lower limit, we have to go to the voters. So we've been kind of taking it as just, that's the absolute minimum, but we actually have an out if we did want to reduce it to 1. But you know, that's not where we're at. That's not where we're going. So the floor is set as 20% of the licenses, and it's been pretty well established that with our 6 licenses, that 20% necessarily rounds up to 2. But keep in mind, that's the floor. The statute does not set a ceiling. The statute does not specify that your local limit must be expressed as a percentage of licenses. That is nowhere to be found in the statute. There is the guidance, and the guidance comes out of the fact that 20% very often results in a fractional number that we have to deal with. However, I would suggest that if our intent is to set the limit to 3, we don't need to get into percentages in terms of setting our limit. We could actually simplify our bylaw to say that the limit is 3, or it's 20% of the number of licenses if that results in a number greater than 3. So our limit would be the larger of 3 or 20% of the licenses. Now, as I noted in my memo, to get to 20% of licenses, we would have to have, for 3 to be less than 20% of the licenses, we would need 16 licenses. So as a practical matter, we're not getting there anytime soon, but you want to have the language in the bylaw so that you're covered for 3 and you're covered for if 20% gets you above 3. Other than that, there is no statutory requirement to express our limit in terms of a percentage. You know, I did not think of that until after I sent my memo up. I realized the 50%, if we don't have 50% in there, that covers us 2 ways. One, it sets an absolute limit of 3, which ultimately we could change if there was ever a need to, but it also avoids the risk of the number of licenses going down. Say a couple of our packages went out of business. Now 50% would get us only to 2. And if we already have 3, what happens if we lose it? What happens if our limit is reduced? Without that percentage in there, that's not a problem. So it seems to me that the simplest approach to accomplish what we need with the least confusion would be to say that the limit is 3 or the 20% figure if that results in a larger number than 3. And like I said, that's not likely to happen, but the language ought to be there to cover it. But there's no statutory reason why we need to express our limit in terms of a percentage in order to get the result that we're looking for.
Okay, so let's go back to the original warrant article that we have in front of us, which is what we need to vote on. Sue, I want to entertain your motion again, so why don't you go ahead?
Well, I'm not sure what we're supposed to do anymore. I
Well,
don't,
we need
I
to
don't-
either recommend that we either recommend passing our.
no, I understand that, but if no one's going to support Article 40 as written, then I will recommend we recommend not to pass.
I would recommend that we recommend to pass it. because what we want to make sure we signal clearly is that we recommend having more than two. So the article in front of us accomplishes that objective. And so I think Finance Committee should recommend that. Now, the
I'd
question,
make that motion.
okay, so Dan, go ahead.
I move that the Finance Committee recommend passage of Article 40 as written.
Do I have a second?
Second, that's what I made first time.
Okay, so again, to continue the discussion, and I'll see who else has, okay, I see hands going up, what you think of that. Barry?
That's fine. That's good. That meets everybody's requirement. As long as in our recommendation, we say 3. Just
Okay, so
do
you.
it in French. I
You
don't
would want the
care.
recommendation to read, we recommend, passage of Article 40. It is Finance Committee's expectation that this will result in, okay, having 3 retail establishments in town.
Perfect.
Okay,
Beautiful.
okay, so we can do that when we get to the recommendations later in the meeting, which hopefully we'll eventually get to. Okay, go Paul.
I'm very confused, and that would not be the first time.
That's okay, so is everybody else.
Can someone explain to me what is it that we are taking a vote on? Because the article, does the article say 50%?
Yes,
Okay,
it says 50%.
okay, so we are saying that we recommend that it be passed, but Barry is saying that, but it would be limited to 3?
Not in the warrant article, in
No.
our recommendation.
No, in our recommendation. So are we saying that it's not 50%, but it's limited to 3?
Not limited, but that we are expecting it to be
What does that mean?
higher.
Can I maybe phrase that differently? So I
Yes.
think, Gopal, what Barry's saying is that you would recommend that we pass Article 40, provided that the interpretation of 50% means that you will have no more than 3
But
licenses.
it's our recommendation. If it's not in the article, does our recommendation mean anything? Other than
Your
that we recommend?
I'm going to say something that may be unpopular, but your recommendation never means anything.
Yeah,
It's,
That's what I mean.
it's purely guidance for town meeting, correct? So
Yeah.
that they know how it is. So it's not
Yeah.
binding in any way.
yeah.
I just
Maybe,
say-
maybe I could have started
Yeah.
with the second sentence instead of
Yeah,
the
yes,
first
you can
sentence.
say it, but trust me, there are many people.
Hey, this is the last time we are inviting you to our meeting, okay? You're done.
Okay,
That
so,
is not in the minutes.
okay, are you all set?
That is not in the minutes.
Okay, Dan, you had your hand up again?
Yeah, so I just want to say, I would support 50%. If it goes up to 4, I'd be fine with that. That's why I would recommend passage of the article as written. I also think it would be more likely to pass at town meeting if we had a way to limit it to not going above 3. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Why I support it being 50%, but also why I think it's really important that we nail down what we really can do, whether we can say something like 3% or 3 or 50%, whatever the way that Dave worded it. If we could do something, I think that would get more support from town meeting. I think that would undercut some arguments against it about, fear that it would grow to, to 4 or 5 or some other scary number. But I personally support the 50% version. So that's why I'm going to vote for it.
Okay, Andy?
I want to confirm this too, that we established in the previous discussion that worst case, and while it might be the slowest form of action, we could always bring this back to town meeting to reduce that percentage in the future, right? To limit it to try and govern it down to 3 licenses that way if people were to get nervous, correct?
Correct.
Well, yes and no, though. Because let me throw one more wrench into this conversation. So let's say someone had applied for a license before you changed the zoning back down to a percentage. They would be grandfathered in because you cannot retroactively zone. You cannot retroactively change your zoning. So, in theory, if the board were to issue more package store licenses and you were ahead of the curve, you could lower that number back down to proactively keep yourself at 3. However, there is definitely, I want to be clear and transparent, there would definitely be some exposure there. So I think it comes down to what you're comfortable with for exposure. And if you think that, this is going to have some huge negative impact if it was 2 versus 3 or 3 versus 4, whatever that number of comfort is for you. But there always is that can't retroactively zone risk.
Okay, Barry?
Is it correct to say that the warrant article itself has been written and we cannot change that warrant article?
Correct.
So the only thing we're talking about here is the recommendation.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, Dave Robbins?
Yeah, I just want to make, it's a small point, but this is not zoning. Evan, you're using the term zoning, and I suspect rather loosely. I think the idea remains valid, though, that if our limit is 3, or let's say hypothetically, our limit is 4, we have 3 already, and we have another applicant that started into the process. If we then reduce the limit to 3, there is a question of whether, the status of that applicant. And I'm not sure that that's as well defined legal as it would be as zoning, but I think the concern remains that if we probably would not want to put ourselves in a position of pulling the rug out from under someone. So the idea of making that, and that's another reason why I'm less comfortable with defining the limit as a percentage of the licenses. Because it does run that risk of reducing the number, and then what happens to someone who is already particularly open for business already under the 4 number, and all of a sudden we set the limit back down to 3. Well, what do we do? It'd be best if we don't face that problem.
Okay, Andy?
I hate to drag this out any further, but is Dave's recommendation something that we need to put before council before we move forward with something like this?
So council has Dave's recommendation.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to be using that to, as part of the conversation of how to craft the motion that the board will make. So, and this is, I don't want to belittle anyone. I don't know your level of knowledge for any of this, but the warrant article, once posted, is set in stone. The motion can be what changes the direction on town meeting floor. And so generally speaking, you have to stay within the 4 corners of the document. Anything smaller than what you have written in stone generally meets that test.
Yeah, the moderator would have to accept that the actual motion simply needs to be within the scope of the warrant article, which pretty clearly within the scope of the current warrant article, an alternative motion that made the number 3 explicit one way or another would certainly be within scope. I will offer, since I had suggested a simplification by eliminating the 50% part, I will follow up my memo with the wording I would suggest for a simpler motion that sets it at either 3 or the minimum the state allows. It's as simple as we can make it, and hopefully it's clear. But I will send that out, that exact wording out that I would use if I were writing the motion.
Yeah, so Finance Committee, let me remind everybody, this is not our warrant article. It was jointly owned by the Select Board and the Economic Development Commission. We are simply voting on whether or not we want to recommend passage of the article that they have submitted. And they are the ones that will submit either this or whatever wording they choose is the motion on town meeting floor. Angelina.
I was just gonna say that I think, like Dan, I support the 50%. I just think that it might be a problem going through. And so that's the only reason to clarify the wording so that people aren't confused and there isn't like a big discussion at town meeting about this, which there's going to be anyway, but the less
Right.
confusion, the better, certainly. And the more people feel like it's controllable, I think the better they'll take it. So.
Okay, yeah, I tend to agree with that. So let's do this. I would like at this time to move forward with a vote on the motion on the floor, which is to recommend passage of warrant article 40. Okay, which is to raise, I don't have the wording in front of me, but to establish 50% as the limit for retail marijuana establishments based on the number of liquor licenses issued. So I'm going to do a roll call vote. Dan Kusher,
Aye.
Gopal Shenoy,
Nay,
okay, Andy Jefferson,
Aye.
and Angelina,
Aye.
Sue Robbins,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Irene, aye. I declare the motion passed. Okay, so our recommendation will be for passage of this article. Okay, so the next item on the agenda, bear with me for a second. I think we're still, oops, opened the wrong document. Okay, so as part of the public hearing, do we need to review all of our recommendations? Sue? Sue Fiacco?
Thank you. Not necessarily. You can close as long as all the voting has been done.
Okay.
Recommendations are,
All of the voting is done. Right now, it would just be discussion if we wanted any changes on the recommendations.
correct, and there's no voting involved.
Right.
So you can technically close the hearing.
Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing portion?
Moved.
So
Uh,
I have a second.
Irene, there's two hands raised. Just want to point that out. Evan and Barry.
I'm assuming they just forgot to put them down or no? Oops, okay, so since the motion hasn't yet been seconded, Barry, what's your question?
Are we going to change the finance committee recommendation
On what?
on Article 40?
The vote was to recommend passage.
Yes. And I'm asking, are we going to add the magic 3 to that recommendation?
We'll get to that when we talk about the recommendations. I want to go through them in order.
Okay. Never mind.
Okay, Evan?
So if you're going to now go through all the recommendations to make sure that they meet, I would like to excuse myself. Got my COVID vaccine today and I'm gonna fall asleep.
Oh,
sitting
God.
here.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me when I got mine. Go right
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm definitely hitting a wall. So if no one has any objection, I'd like to jump off. William could follow up with all the recommendations.
Okay.
He has the current draft, and Mary is of course here to answer questions as well. So,
Okay. Yes, I
all
again,
right.
totally relate.
Okay, I appreciate it. Have a good night,
Okay.
William or Mary. If anything comes up, I have my cell, which
Okay,
I
so-
probably won't answer, but you can call.
Sue Robbins has made the motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second,
Okay, so now we'll take a roll call vote. Barry,
aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Sue Robbins,
Aye.
Angelina,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Gopal,
aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Irene, I declare the motion carried. The public hearing portion of the meeting is now complete. Attendees, you are welcome to remain and listen. It is a public it remains a public meeting. It is no longer a hearing. Okay, so I'm going to go back to screen sharing, and I'm going to share the working document, which, bear with me, I had up 2 seconds ago. There we go, the worksheet. Okay. Nope, that's not the one I want. This one. Okay, so is everybody now seeing, get back over there. Oh, good grief. Okay. Now seeing the May 25th, 2021 Finance Committee worksheet. Is that what is appearing? Yep, I'm seeing it shake their heads. Okay,
Yes.
so what we're going to do is just quickly go through the recommendations, make sure there aren't any problems or questions. So starting with the special town meeting, Article 1, our recommendation was passage of Article 1. This article does not require additional funds to be added to the FY21 budget. This article is a list of ongoing interdepartmental transfers to close out fiscal year 2021. The unspent funds from departments that have not needed their full amount of budgeted funds are being used to offset other departments that have experienced increased needs this fiscal year. Please see the attached Appendix A outlining the transfers. Anyone have a problem with that recommendation? Okay. Article 2, the recommendation is,
Irene?
I'm sorry, Sue?
Yes, may I make a suggestion that I think most of the people have read the recommendations? And we
Okay,
ask if there's any that have a problem with any of them in the special?
rather than read them, sure.
Yes.
Okay, so long as I'm within good scope. Trust me, they'll save my voice. Okay, so Article 2, Finance Committee recommends passage. Any questions or concerns? Barry?
I forgot what I was gonna ask. Oh, do we need to identify the source, free cash, raise and appropriate, etc. for these? That seems to be the only thing that's maybe missing on
Yep,
most.
hold on. Okay, so Article 1 was interdepartmental. Article 2, I think it says where it's coming from.
Article 1 is coming from free cash, right?
No, Article 1 is interdepartmental transfers.
For transfers.
Article 2, see, now I don't have the articles in front of me. I just have the recommendations on this worksheet.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure it says where it's coming from, that it's coming, I think in this case, from the town accountant's account. So
Yes, that one specifies.
Yeah, so
where-
that one's it is in the article.
Yep.
Did you want to add it to the recommendation or are you good?
you're fine.
Okay. Oh, it actually says it in the recommendation, by the way. So if you look at the full text of the recommendation, that is in there.
Yes,
Okay. Article 3, the Finance Committee recommends passage in the amount of $22,600. And there's the additional verbiage. Is
cool with
everybody
me.
good with that?
That's fine.
Okay, Article 4. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 4. Any concerns or comments? Okay, Article 5. Vacation carryover. Finance Committee recommends passage of this article. Any questions on the recommendation as written? Barry?
If I was an employee, I'd have questions, but no questions.
Okay, Article 6. I just found a typo in here. Finance Committee recommends passage of the article in the amount of $600. Notice that it says to fund payment of invoices. The A needs to go. It should just be invoices. There was more than one, as I think there were 3, as I recall.
On the article, on 6,
Yeah,
the town account and expense account, is this
Yeah.
a free cash thingy or no?
no. Mary, did you want to add to that?
It's just a transfer out of the town account and expense line
Okay.
to fund the prior fiscal year bills.
It's an interdepartmental transfer.
Right. No free cash is being used at the special.
I thought we were in the annual.
No, we're in the special.
Special.
This is the special.
The heck am I reading?
Article 7, Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 7 in the amount of $13,362.
Yes. Are we gonna get noise about using the Veterans Service Expense Account?
No, we talked about that before, when we were working on the budget, we noticed that it has been over budgeted. They have the capacity to transfer out of there.
Okay,
Yeah,
This is-
when I met with Justin about that, he explained it's because that's we are like mandated to pay any eligible veteran who applies for it. Having excess capacity allows us to take on unexpected applicants. So there is money that would otherwise just go into free cash if we don't use it for this.
okay, good.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
it's not money that would otherwise be spent on veterans.
Yes, yeah, we're not taking away from any veterans.
Right.
Well,
Good
I'm just
question though,
thinking of
Barry,
the
because it
people
could come up.
who- I'm thinking of the people who show up at town meeting, not having read this, not being conversant with all of the wonderful things we do. And they see, oh, you're taking it out of veterans, and,
Right,
those paddles are gonna start swinging.
yeah. So, and we'll give them the answer. Okay, Article 8, Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 8 in the amount of $25,000. Any questions on this one? Okay, Article 9. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 9 in the amount of $75,000. Any questions on this? Sue, you'll notice, and William, I did find a typo here. Cemetery perpetual care sale of lots. Just put
Oh,
on the end of sale.
I thought that was my buddy from Brooklyn, Sal, Sal of Lots.
Article 10, Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 10 to replace the F-250 truck. Any questions on this one? Okay, that closes the special town meeting and we now move into the annual town meeting. So the first thing that comes up is the consent agenda. And
Sue
we
has her
did-
hand up, Irene, sorry.
Say what?
Sue has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sue.
Thank you. All right, so question for, just to clarify. Everything that you just read, the recommendation that was for each one, is that word for word what you want placed onto the document compared to the document that we had been reviewing during the week, which is a little bit of a new setup with an explanation, and then Finance Committee recommends, and it just basically says to authorize payment, et cetera? Or do you want it exactly the way it is written, so that William and I understand how to move forward with this?
I was assuming it would be exactly as written. It starts with Finance Committee recommends passage and then
Okay.
gives the explanation, which
Yes.
we have always done in the past unless I'm mistaken.
No, that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was assuming it would be. Was anyone else thinking differently?
No.
Okay.
Okay,
In fact, this was
thank you.
an improvement because the initial worksheet just had passage or pass over. So I was happy to see the explanations because I was thinking, okay, tonight we're going to divide them up and we're going to write our explanations, and lo and behold, they're all there. I'm like, oh, this is great.
They are all there, yes.
All
We
here.
wouldn't be able to meet our deadline if we tried it for tonight.
Yeah, would have really been pushing it. So this is wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions before Barry, hand up?
Yeah, I'm looking at Article 1.
Yep.
The
Okay,
explanation
not there yet.
says, we no longer hear reports. The
Yeah,
recommendation.
we're not
says-
there yet. Hold on give me a minute. Okay, give me a minute. The first thing before that was the consent agenda. Okay, so we did vote to approve the consent agenda. I just wanted to bring that up. Now we'll move into Article 1, hear reports of offices, boards, and committees. And I think probably in answer to your question, Barry, you'll notice that I wrote over here on the side, do we want to note where the reports are available for the public to view? Because our recommendation simply says we accept the printed annual reports.
I think you're confusing. This is for committees to come and give a presentation at town meeting. to hear-
Right,
So we've had some in the past. The library came in, the DPW came in, high school came in, all of those big projects. They came in at different times for the annual town meeting and gave a presentation and updated everybody as to where they were in the status.
yep,
So this is a regular article that we need to put out there to hear reports every year.
okay,
So we're saying there are no reports to be heard this year.
Evidently not, because no one has come forward, as far as I know.
So the explanation then would change?
We recommend passage with the understanding there will be no reports given at the annual town meeting.
Sounds good.
okay. Now, what about our report that we're doing?
That's the state of the message, town message, totally different.
Okay, okay. Okay, so Sue, how do you want to word this recommendation?
You mean what I just said?
Yes,
Oh, I just said we recommend passage of this article as when we understand that there are no reports going to be given, in case one comes up that we may not know about. I mean, if you want to say no, we could do that as well. with the
okay.
understanding
Finance
there-
Committee recommends passage of this article with the understanding that there are no reports being given at this time.
Right.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, so that keeps us within our vote to recommend passage. Okay, Article 2, to appoint the trustee of Nelson Park, et cetera. We recommend passage. Any questions?
Looks good.
Okay. Article 3, the Recreation PARC grant. We recommended passage. This doesn't affect, I guess it does affect our recommendation. I just found a couple of not typos, but I would word this a little bit differently. It says, once the grant is received, funds authorized for the same purpose to recommendation. I think we should write for the same purpose budgeted via transfer to recreation, just to be crystal clear, from CPA funds will be returned from the recreation account to the CPA account. And again, I just, I want it to be crystal clear, for transparency to anybody at town meeting. Anyone agree, disagree? Can everybody see my notes off on the side there? Barry, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I like what you said. Do we need to spell out what park stands for?
I'm assuming it's within the article.
It's not.
It's actually listed in the table of contents in the glossary at the start of the warrant.
Ah, good work.
Now I have to do homework before the meeting. Holy cow.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
And we don't know what the amount of money is.
No, it'll depend on the grant, and I'm assuming that that's a variable amount.
Up to 100,000, I believe she said.
Ooh, I'll take it.
Okay, so moving on to Article 4. The Transportation Bond Bill. Finance Committee recommends passage of this article. And then it gives our reason. Any questions on this one?
Yeah. We're going after 497 to borrow and appropriate.
Hold on.
I'm just struggling with my municipal accounting terminology here.
No, this is the amount of money to be received from the state as Chapter 90.
Article 4?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
called
oh, oh,
transportation bond bill at the state level.
This is our chapter 90 money.
Right.
And it's usually in arrears.
Right. You spend it, then they give it back to you, kind of like circuit breaker for the sped expenses at the school.
Yeah, I'm struggling with the phrase to borrow and appropriate. Borrow means usually that you're going to bond something. And appropriate means, okay, now I'm going to put it into this.
Barry, we're borrowing against ourselves.
Oh, man. I do that all the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically, we front the money. It's a reimbursable grant.
Yeah,
So the
the
town
chapter 90
pays
is
for it.
reimbursed,
Then
so
once the
okay.
project's complete, then DPW and the town accountant's office, we submit the paperwork and get reimbursed.
All right, I'll just go with the language. Okay,
Okay. Yeah, this is a yearly article.
yes.
Okay. Article 5, sale of surplus property. Finance Committee recommends passage of the article. Any questions,
Yeah,
concerns?
I
Yeah,
always ask,
Yaco.
do we know what items we're selling?
Yes, it's the little sliver of property on, hold on, or is
Is
this?
that another article?
No, this is whatever surplus property may or may not exist.
Yeah, I was just wondering if we knew what it was.
No, there's nothing per se. It just gives us the ability in the future to sell those items.
Okay,
Yeah, let's say they decided they had 10 extra office chairs. This allows them to sell them off.
okay,
There's actually a state website for doing that.
yes.
Okay, Sufiako, you've got your hand up.
I'm sorry. It's down now.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. Article 6, authorize the treasurer collector to borrow money. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 6. No questions, comments. Article 7, CPA administrative expenses. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 7. Any questions? Article 8. Okay, the Recreation Department revolving account. We have recommended passing over this article. It is a mistakenly duplicate item from last year. Any questions or comments?
So we don't have a new replacement?
No, we already have a revolving account. We don't need to set up another one.
Okay,
It just got put in there by mistake. Article 9, authorize the spending limits for revolving accounts. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 9. I only questioned whether or not we wanted to indicate the list of spending limits. Where can it be found? It wasn't an attachment, at least not on any of my copies. And maybe we don't need to. I just wanted to bring it up. No, one year we had them.
It's in
I
the,
recommend
it's in
the
the
article.
warrant that, oh, am I talking over William? I was gonna say it's in warrant William prepared. Sorry,
Okay,
William.
It's in the warrant. Okay.
The list is in Article 9, yes.
Gotcha. Okay, then we're good. Again, it wasn't on this copy, so I asked the question. No other questions or comments on Article 9? Yes, Sufiako.
Yes, Article 9, if I understand correctly, will be changed slightly as a result of the recreation number for program and activity. Is
Okay.
that correct, Mary and William?
Correct.
So there'll be a motion on the floor and we can reconsider,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
Okay.
No sense doing that until we have a new number, right?
We
Right.
know what the number is. In the article, Parks and Recreation was set at 20,000 and it needs to be increased to 350,000.
Ooh. Okay, so in theory, we should reconsider and vote on the new list.
That's not correct.
Nope, okay.
We're voting on the warrant.
Gotcha. Okay, so we'll do it on town meeting floor.
Or reconsider on town meeting floor, yes.
Right, yep, okay. So we're good for now. Article 10, funding for transportation services from WRTA. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 10 is written. Any questions or concerns on this one?
We need to identify a ballpark figure.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think we ever have in the past.
Yep.
I asked.
It's a
you
contract.
recently saw an article that said WRTA had been allowing a number of riders to go free, and now they're going to charge.
The explanation for the article is this is an annual article authorizing the select board to receive transportation funding and use the funds appropriately.
Okay.
Okay. Okay,
This is our routine article every year, Aunt Barry.
right.
And
Art- Article 11, no, hey, Barry, if you have to ask questions, ask questions. Just because it was routine doesn't mean we don't want to ask about it. And I'm famous for that.
now you're encouraging me. Oh, jeez.
Well, I'd rather, yeah.
Everybody knows you don't encourage them.
When people get complacent, oh yeah, that's when bad things happen. Article 11, Fire Department Insurance Supplement. Finance Committee supports passing over this article. Any questions or concerns? And it says why, basically because we have enough money, we don't need any more in that account. Article 12. The FY22 budget. Our recommendation was to pass this article for an operating budget in the amount of $67,259,487. Does anyone have any concerns with the wording of our recommendation for passing the budget? Seeing none, we will move on to Article 13.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Am I looking at the wrong document?
I'm looking at our worksheet.
Yeah. I
Look
guess
at
I'm looking
Finance
at the warrant
Committee
article
worksheet.
itself.
Recommendation has to have the amount in it, that's all.
My point.
Yep, which it does. And if you come down here, this is why I try to put my cursor at the actual recommendation so people can see exactly, what's going in.
Right.
And so that's why I went over like this and the amount, and this one I did read out because I thought the amount was important.
Okay, so the annual town meeting warrant article with recommendations, that document has to be edited.
If we want to, in other words, the only thing that we can edit is our recommendations.
Yes, and our recommendation says a sum of money. It doesn't say
Yes.
$67 million.
Right, and Mary, I'm assuming since Mary did not object, we still have the right number.
Right.
There's no number in the finance committee recommendation.
Yes, there is right here. Finance Committee
Just
agreed with the FY22 operating budget.
You're in the worksheet. I'm in the annual town meeting warrant articles.
Pardon me if I may.
It is what we're using.
So I believe part of the confusion is, I believe Barry has the warrant that has the draft recommendations that Evan and I put together.
Right.
So we will go back based on what you vote on tonight, and slot in what Sufiako has written and what you vote on this evening. So we will update the finance committee recommendations once we have them finalized.
Yeah, so Barry, what we're looking at on this worksheet is what will go on to the final document.
Okay.
That's why I put this one up.
All right.
This is our worksheet.
Yeah, I like looking at the warrant articles.
Well, then, no, and I'm glad you are, because the one thing that is hard for me is I don't have the actual article in front of me.
Okay.
Right.
I'm already using two screens. I got you guys on one screen so I can see if your hands are up, and I've got this on the other. I don't have a third screen. So Barry, I'm glad you got the warrant articles in case there's a question, so at least somebody has them.
Good.
So Article 13, borrowing funds for the engine one replacement. Down here, Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 13. Okay, in an amount not to exceed $740,000. Any question on this? Now, this one we will be borrowing, supports the bonding process. Article 14, the capital budget. Recommendation of the Finance Committee, passage of Article 14 as written in the amount of $1,281,000. Any questions or concerns?
And we do know that the recommendation says 1,275,000. So
That's been correct. That was corrected last week.
Yeah, the correct number is the 1,281,000.
yes,
And that was the motion that was made, was 281.
yes.
Yeah.
The document I'm looking at says 275.
Stop looking at that document, Barry.
The document on the screen says 281.
All right, never mind.
Okay. Article 15, and this one's going to be a different number probably than you're looking at as well, Barry, because what they did was they combined Articles 16 and 15, so there's a single article rather than two separate articles. So we recommend passage of Article 15 as written in the amount of $968,780
To the penny.
to the penny.
That's what I have.
Okay, and then for Article 16, we are recommending we pass over.
Irene, we should put $1 in front of that number, please.
I'm sorry, what?
Article 15, we should put $1 in front of that number.
You are correct. Thank you for catching
Okay.
that. Paul.
I have $1 in front of it.
Okay. Okay. Article 16, we support passing over because again, that got put into Article 15. Article 17, unemployment compensation. And this was an updated one. The final recommendation on this one is down here. We recommend passing over Article 17. Okay, we understand that this will be passed over. That's because it was basically double, it would be double funded otherwise. It is funded within the budget.
Should we put that in the explanation of the recommendation?
It says right here, oops, hold on. Guys, do you want to add that? We understand that Article 7 will be passed over at town meeting. Do you want to add because this has already been funded as part of the operating budget?
I like that.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay, how's that? Yep. Okay, Article 18, Old West.
Irene, a quick question. If you go up, why do we have that May 19th recommendation if we are saying that it has to be passed over?
We reconsidered it. So we initially had passed it, and then if you come up here.
Okay,
we
but that would not
reconsidered
show
it.
up
Right.
on,
No, that will not show up on the documents going to the public. This is just for our records so that we know, to remind us. Okay, Article 18, Old Westboro Road. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 18 as written. Any questions on this one? Article 19, the FY22 Grafton Cable Television Budget. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 19 as written in the amount of $335,000. Any questions on this with an explanation of PEG?
Gee, wouldn't it be nice if we added in the thing that said the cable TV operation, of course, pays all of that, almost all of that back through subscription fees.
It does say that.
It says which a special revenue fund.
There it is, okay. So
Yeah.
it's a little different.
Yeah, are you good? It said requiring no tax money. Is that what you're looking for?
Yep.
That is part of our recommendation.
Oh, okay. So that recommendation would have to change in the town meeting warrant article.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we're good.
Oh, yes.
Article 20, the cable project account. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 20 as written in the amount of $79,000. Okay. Article 21, hydrant acceptance. Recommendation of the Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 21 as written. I did make a note on a typo here. I think that dollar sign is supposed to be a number sign. Number 709 Worcester Street.
Yes,
Yes, okay. So just work on that. That's just typos.
That's in front of the bank. isn't it?
22, sewer department transfer of funds. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 22 as written, housekeeping article. Article 23, sewer department transfer of funds. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 23 as written, housekeeping. Okay. Article 24, sewer department transfer of funds. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 24 as written, housekeeping. Article 25, 59 Pleasant Street. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 25 as written. Any questions? Article 26. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article, oops, it says 10. I'm assuming that should be.
sorry.
26.
Mhm.
Okay, no other questions? Article 27, CPC Pelt Farm. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 27 as written in the amount of $66,500. Any questions?
Yeah, I wish they'd put a few dollars into blazing the trails.
That's not part of this article, I'm afraid. Okay, Article 28, CPC Grafton Townhouse Bond Payment. Finance Committee recommends passage of the article in the amount of $75,600. Any questions?
No.
Articles 29, 30, and 31 are all what they call sunset provisions. Article 29, extend the sunset provision for something. Anyway,
Well,
And
Cisco,
authorization.
okay, so we recommend passage as written. Any questions? Article 30, another one for CPC. We recommend passage as written. And Article 31, CPC, we recommend passage as written. Any questions? Okay, Article 32, CPC Grafton Lions Club. And hold on just for a second. When I get down here to our final recommendation. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 32 is written in the amount of $175,835.
does everybody know that the Dauphiné Park is available to all town residents or?
Yes, they do. The Lions Club makes that note.
Yeah, I think they do. A lot of people walk the trails there.
Yep.
Article 33, about doing some work on the Flint and Hovey ponds.
Yeah,
Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 33 as written in the amount of $17,000. Any questions on our recommendation? Article 34, establishment of the community park. So our new recommendation on this, I am going to get rid of this, is Finance Committee recommends passing over. Oops, I can spell recommends. Article 34. We understand. Oops. That this article will be passed over. Okay, anyone else want to add anything to that?
passed over because they're gonna come back with, or just passed over, that's fine.
I'm just gonna
Passed
say,
over.
leave it alone. That's up to the people involved. Okay, Article 35, stormwater. Okay, Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 35 as written. Any questions? Article 36, 46 Adams Road. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 36. Notice I changed the wording on this. This article transfers the care. I wanted to write responsibility for the care of the land
Duty of care or the responsibility.
or to the Conservation Commission. I don't like the wording to become under the jurisdiction. That just bothers me. Sounds terrible.
From the select board to the Conservation Commission.
Yeah.
It'll be under the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. No longer under the select board.
Well, then it said, okay, so I would write it, this article transfers responsibility for the care of the land from the select board to the Conservation Commission.
Cool.
So Robin, you okay with that?
That sounds better.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody know, are they gonna just knock that building down or are they gonna leave it there?
I have no clue.
I thought there was a demolition thing somewhere in here. Isn't it?
Come down,
Yeah.
going to be raised sometime. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought I saw it somewhere.
Okay, so Article 37, 4 Millennium Drive. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 37. Any questions? Article 38, Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 38 as written with this reasoning. Article 39. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 39 as written.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, so Article 40. This is the fun one. We did vote to recommend passage. You want to simply leave it as is. It seeks to repeal a portion of the article and replace it.
I like the explanation as it's written here and then repeal, so to replace it with, yeah.
Yeah.
As long as the explanation says 3,
Okay.
but that's my opinion. We're losing a pizza place, so that might put a strain on the marijuana places.
Well, no, actually, once they open, it means another pizza place will probably open.
In its place.
Girl Scouts will sell more cookies.
Mm.
Okay, someone has a raised hand. Who's got their hand raised? Sufiako.
Yes, this is the same recommendation that we used in October.
Okay.
So is there going to be a 3 in there or not?
Oops.
I'm not married to 3. I recognize that that's more palatable, and if they want to make a motion that ends up there, that's fine. But I feel that the Finance Committee has basically said, we're happy with 50% because people aren't going to open unless they think they're going to make money, and that's good for us. Angelina?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what we voted on was the passage of it as it's written. So,
Yep.
Barry?
right,
Yeah, and the problem that ensued was people were starting to try to calculate, 50% means this, means that. But just put in the recommendation, it means 3 and move on, then we're done. We'll save a whole lot of time at town meeting.
But we won't, because again, our recommendations, why people care what we say,
Yes,
trust me, first of all, they're not binding. Okay, we
it's
do,
not binding, but it explains very concisely so that you don't have people arguing about a percentage. of
no, but they are going to
Yes.
argue because the article as written that we agreed to support would in fact allow as many as 5 under the current situation where we have 10 licenses available. That's what we voted to support at this time.
Okay, so if we put in the phrase,
Not 3,
which currently equates to 3.
right.
If we put that phrase in, all the argument goes away, we all leave.
It won't, no such luck, but
The argument is not going to go away.
yeah. I mean, if you want to, at the very end, we can put a comma and say currently, Okay, that will result, or I'm going to say that could result,
Which currently means three.
3 establishments.
Okay.
Oops, I put an extra E in there. Does anyone want to agree with that, disagree with that? Are we good?
That's good. That's good.
I would say would, not could.
No, I'm going to say could, because it's not, nothing's guaranteed. Every single one of the people currently up could not get their license from the state.
Okay, yeah,
So it is a could. It's not a would, it's a could.
all right.
Now, I chose that very carefully. Okay, so
There's an
article
extra space in there.
disposing of the property. This is for Upton Street, the old DPW. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 41. Any questions? We're correcting a clerical error. Article 42, amend the personal bylaw of the general bylaws. Recommendation of the Finance Committee. Finance Committee does not support passage of Article 42 as written. Notice the typo there, guys, needs an S.
Mhm.
Is it personal or personnel?
Personnel, because it has to do with employees.
Yeah. Okay, so again, I'm looking at the
Right.
annual town meeting document.
Yeah, it's getting passed over because basically they rewrote them into 2 different articles, 43 and 44.
Yes.
So we don't support passage. Okay, we understand the article will be passed over.
Okay, can you scroll up just a bit?
Yes, hold on.
Okay, it's changed in here. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay.
As long as it's changed in the real one.
Yep. Article 43, Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 43. Place, okay, the holiday.
I defy anybody to raise their paddle with the thumbs down.
Oh, trust me, they will.
Oh, boy.
Article 44,
But you voted against it, Barry.
yeah. Did he? Okay, I marked it.
Historical reasons, and now I am hiding in my basement.
Well, we
would-
looked
no,
at
these-
Columbus.
Right, these were different. They aren't Juneteenth and Columbus 2 different articles?
Yes.
Right.
So we just did Columbus. Now this is Article 44 about Juneteenth. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 44. This article aligns with the Massachusetts state holiday. Anyone want to change that recommendation wording? Okay. Moving on, Article 45, 25 Worcester Street. The Finance Committee does not support passage of Article 45 as written. We understand that it will be passed over at town meeting. We're fully expecting the moderator to rule it out of order since it is legally impossible, cannot be done.
Yes. Do we want to make sure that our recommendation says that?
We can, but we actually know, you know why? We're putting words in the moderator's mouth. We can't do that.
Okay.
Okay, that's what we expect. It doesn't mean it will happen. From what I've heard, it should, but we can't guarantee that. So the only thing we can do is say, we want it passed over. We expect it to be passed over.
The Thursday meeting will be with our new town moderator?
I believe so.
Okay, good.
Okay, I think the last item on our agenda, that takes us through all of the articles. Oops, wrong one. I can close this. We don't need this anymore. And let me just get to, I think the agenda is in my,
I see the constable, if Grafton has to sign this off. Do they give a pistol or gun to the constable? No. Are you armed?
Yeah. I am no longer a constable.
Oh, okay.
okay, so guys, I apologize for the lateness. I had originally planned to get you this state of the town message yesterday, but I ended up having to drive to New Jersey. Father's having some bad days. So the time that I had originally thought would be allocated to writing this was allocated to dealing with my father. So you do all have a draft. I've got it here. I'm actually, for myself, reasonably comfortable with the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs, and then I added a couple more later. So does anyone want to make recommendations? Tell me they want to change anything? Mary, there's 1 or 2 numbers I would like from you if you have them.
Irene, would you like to screen share or would you like me to
Oh, I
screen
thought
share?
I thought I already was. Yes. Wasn't I screen? I have to stop and redo it, right? Because I changed.
I have you still up there.
Okay. Let me start and stop again. Barry, what's your question?
In the first full paragraph,
Yeah.
as noted in the town's FY20 audit, do you want to make that to FY 2020 audit?
I think hold on for a second, because I copied this from last year and we already, hold on, this is last year's. Sorry, guys. Try this again. Stop sharing.
Tiny, minor, you can ignore that if it makes no
Screen
sense.
share. Hold on, sorry. I just got to make sure I get the right one there. There we go. Okay.
This is your latest one, correct, Irene?
Yes.
Okay. So folks, you have not received this one via email. You received the earlier version. And then,
The first 5 paragraphs, I think, are unchanged.
say it again, Irene?
I think the first 5 paragraphs are unchanged.
Unchanged. Mhm.
Yeah.
Irene, if you go to the last paragraph on page 1.
Yeah.
Let me see.
However, we must note.
Oh, no, you fixed it. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
I can catch extra blank spaces and spelling
Tapping,
mistakes.
okay.
So.
No problem.
Irene, I had one thing. This part where it talks about 25 Worcester Street,
Yeah.
and I think it says that it was given to CPC. It was given to Affordable Housing Trust. Just
Affordable
wanted to,
housing. Right. Okay. Yep. Thank you for that catch. And it's called the Affordable Housing Trust, correct?
yep.
Oops,
Okay.
does the last paragraph. Can you
Okay.
scroll?
And just quickly before I get to there, the rental assistance, was that CPC or was that Affordable Housing Trust?
So the funds were from CPC and also from the actually, yeah, so CPC and the whatever that original federal stimulus
Oh, right.
plan
But
was
I'm
called.
not worried about that because we didn't have to vote on that.
Yeah, and then a little tiny bit came from the Affordable Housing Trust funds, but this is
Well,
fine.
mostly from CPC. Okay, so we'll leave that one to CPC.
Yeah.
Okay, Barry, you've got your hand up?
Yeah, can you drop down to your last paragraph?
Okay, with the very last one?
Yeah, what did I thought I saw something. Oh, yeah. Proposition 2.5,
Yep,
capping. You got it. Never mind.
okay. Okay. Mary, are you still here with us?
Yes.
Okay, so Mary, question for you. I have here, it says the capital budget proposed by the town administrator totals, 1.2 million. The primary needs funded by this budget are, do you know what Evan would consider, or anyone else want to tell me what you think we should list as being the primary needs being funded by this year's capital budget?
I don't think I have, oh, I do have the list.
Yeah, I've got the list, but that doesn't really give me the, like priority, so to speak.
Yeah, see, I wasn't part of their meeting, so I don't know what the top priority.
Okay. Okay, Barry, you've got your hand up still?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no problem. Okay, anybody else?
I just
Okay, I
stretching.
can give Evan a quick call.
Yeah, you can ask, send him an email and he'll get
Right,
back to
okay.
you.
Okay, and Mary, I think we need Mary Oliver to answer this one. If you go down to the last paragraph that I've added to my newer copy, I want to say in 2021, the average value of assessed value of a single family home is something, and the tax rate is something.
Could you send me the document, email, and then I could forward it to her, and so then she can get me
Okay.
the accurate numbers.
Okay, so I will do that. Okay. So Susan, what is our drop dead for this is Thursday, right?
Yes.
Okay, so is everyone comfortable with taking the next couple of days to look at this? And Sue, are we okay? We're not going to be in violation if people email suggestions, changes to this?
If they send it to me, I believe.
Okay, send it to you. Okay. So guys, send anything to Susan, who will then get it to me. And again, I apologize that it's not in more finished form, though it's actually pretty close.
To Susan and only Susan.
Only Susan, right? And we'll get to that in a minute. And I'm happy to make changes if you want to change the tone. If you want to put the challenges first and the good stuff second, again, I'm open to suggestions. I'm pretty much, again, following last year's format, just updating it for this year. I think probably the biggest change is that the COVID ended up not anywhere near as economically dire for the town as we had been afraid it would be. We were thinking the state might cut our funds 10 or 20%. We didn't know what was going to happen to revenues. And it ended up, again, not being anywhere near as bad as it could have been and as we thought it might be. So that was the good news.
You have a phrase in here on top of all this?
Where?
That's a good question. Can you do a search? The third paragraph,
Okay.
Word recommends that you change that to moreover.
Yeah, so hold on just for a second.
There it is. Down to the left. The beginning of the paragraph. On top of all this, down.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I was in the wrong paragraph.
There you are.
Okay. Moreover.
That's what Word recommends, and that's Microsoft.
Yep. Yeah, and I agree with you. That definitely sounds better. Thank you.
Hey, Irene,
Much crisper. Yes, Gopal.
free cash. I thought I saw 1.693 million in
Yeah.
your document. I'm
Yeah.
confused because the free cash document that Sue sent today says that the balance is 616,320. Oh,
That's the balance.
wait.
So the amount certified is.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay,
1.3.
I
We're
didn't
gonna
see
spend
the-
some of it, right? We're
Got
gonna
it,
spend
thanks.
some of it.
Yep.
Yep,
So Irene,
yeah,
want to go back to the capital, the primary needs there. Where
Yeah.
that had 3 leases, the Dell server lease, the fire pumper tanker lease, and the engine 3 lease.
yeah,
And we're not leasing those are going to be borrowed. So those are 3 of the primary things that we looked at, and also the replace engine 1.
okay, so
Department. So it was basically those that were,
purchasing equipment previously leased, right?
yes,
And what was the second one? Fire truck?
to replace the engine 1, yes.
Okay, so how do you like that then? Are purchasing equipment previously leased and replacing fire engine one?
Yeah.
Okay, because we can't list everything. We're saying priorities. So if you think we should add more, again, I'm open to suggestions. Sue Fiacco, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I have a slight question. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I am wondering if the Finance Committee has an appetite to approve this as a draft with you popping in the numbers from the assessor's office. And I mean, I don't know if anyone between now and Thursday wants to change the document or if it's just really just adding the numbers. So if that would be the case, and the reason why I'm suggesting this or saying this is that on Thursday, and this is not written in stone, but it would be nice if it was a voted on message and handed to the new town moderator at the logistics meeting, rather than doing it on over the weekend or on Monday without any correspondence or in a public meeting setting. What is your thought? What are your thoughts on that as a committee or as a chair, Irene?
I'm going to recuse because I'm the one who wrote it.
Okay.
I will leave it to my fellow members how comfortable they are. This is the first stab at this. I've done the annual report, but I haven't done the, state of the town report for town meetings. So I want, especially people like Sue Robbins with a lot of experience at this, to determine if they're comfortable enough with that, or if I need to do a lot more work, which I'm very happy to hear, guys. I'm not going to be angry, upset, hurt, anything. I recognize that that's what happens when you do things for the first time. So Gopal, you've got your hand up.
This looks good to me. I just had one question about the last paragraph.
Okay.
The second last paragraph all the way to the bottom, where you say that 8% of the taxes is because of debt servicing.
Yep.
Or debt exclusions, but it'll go up. Do we know how much it'll go up next year so that we can add?
I know that for the coming year, when I get these numbers, the debt service listed currently on Mary's numbers that she gave us, it's 8.8% for the town, for the budget.
Okay, so 8.8% is for 2022.
I believe so.
Okay, so we may want to change that to 8.8 if that's.
Oh yeah, I will make the appropriate change. Yep.
Okay, then it's fine.
Okay.
You may want to wait. It says in 2021.
Yep.
But you're saying 2022, it'll be 8.8%. That I'm confused then.
Because
it's a state of the town message.
Say that again?
I'm sorry, Irene.
No, go ahead, Susan.
It is the state of the town message for current.
Yep.
Not
Okay,
for.
so in that case, should we even say fiscal year 2022 then?
No, we're in 2021 right now. We're finishing the year.
I understand that. What I'm saying is, I think I heard Irene say that.
You're always lagging.
No, I understand. So,
between.
No, I'm confused because you said for fiscal year 2022, it'll be 8.8%. But if that is the case, we don't have to mention that because that is next year. If this is a lagging state of the town message, is 8% for 2021 and 8.8% in 2022?
That's a good question, and I honestly don't 100% know. I'm just updating. Last year I said 2020. This year I'm saying 2021.
Okay.
Okay, Sue Fiacco, you still got your hand up?
So that would be something that you would confirm with Mary Oliver.
Yes, I will confirm with Mary.
Okay.
Anybody else? So again, I am recusing from discussion or motion.
Cruising.
So I have no problem if we vote on this tonight and accept it. And just so you double check all the numbers to make sure they're correct.
Yep.
Otherwise, I have no problem with it. I move that we accept the state of the town message as presented.
Okay, motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Heather is seconding the motion. Any further discussion? Okay, I will do a roll call vote. Heather,
Aye.
Barry,
Barry, I.
Sue,
Aye.
Gopal,
I,
Andy,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Angelina.
Aye.
That's everybody, right, except me? Irene abstain. Okay, declare the motion carried.
Thank you.
So thank you, everybody, for your vote of confidence. Okay, so the next thing is the open meeting law violation. So Gopal, just so you know, you are not the first one, and I seriously doubt you'll be the last. So make sure you are not taking this personally. Okay, so
I thought I was going to get arrested.
no. So what Mark did was, and I have this somewhere, I don't know where it went. Mark went ahead and he filed this proactively. Okay, so that somebody else doesn't say, oh, look what they did and file it. He says, nope, we admit a mistake was made. Okay, so he filed a formal complaint saying, you know, the open meeting law was breached. It's been brought to our attention. Okay, so what we're going to do is read your comment into the minutes of the meeting so it becomes public record. Okay, I'm assuming everybody has read this letter.
Yeah.
It basically says that, you know, Gopal sent out an email that went to all of us expressing his opinion on Article 34. Sue, do you have it in front of you? Because I'm having trouble finding it.
I do. Would you like, if you take down your screen share, please, I can put it up.
If you would, that would be great. Thank you.
I've read more about open meeting law than anything else in the last couple of days.
You should have received it when you should have received the open meeting law when you were sworn in.
I did. No, yeah. So the thing is, it was also came in as part of the ethics training. Unfortunately, I clicked on the ethics training and did all of that, did not realize that there were 4 attachments.
Yep.
So what would you like, Irene, please?
So what I want you to do is just read his email, okay, what he said in his email into the minutes.
You have to scroll down.
Yeah, it's there. Right here.
Yes. So reading into the minutes, Finance Committee member Gopal Shenoy on Friday, May 21st, 2021 at 2:52 p.m. to the Finance Committee Assistant and Finance Committee stated, I still don't like a project that was quoted at 800K -2.5 M for build out. Thanks, Gopal.
Okay, so that's it. So that is now in the minutes and a public record. So this comment was not being hidden or discussed, you know, behind closed doors. This has become part of the open meeting. And that's literally the only thing we have to do at this point.
Gopal, there's so many other finance committee members in the past who violated the open meeting law. You are not alone. So
Matt did it
That's
as
why I
chair
posted- Yeah,
Yeah,
I've done it.
last year
and
and
you
self-reported it.
and usually the chairman should be sending out a memo if some information is coming to you that you do not discuss this, you know, with all of the members on an email. And there is the policy too on email, so.
Yeah, so like I said, you're not the first. I guarantee you won't be the
I'm
last.
telling you, I saw that email from Mark and I'm like, holy cow, what did I do?
Do anything.
Okay, so next up on the agenda, review of the meeting schedule for the Finance Committee. Of course, we have our meeting this coming Thursday, the joint meeting preparing for town meeting. That's at 7 p.m. And town meeting itself, of course, is June 5th. We will meet as Finance Committee prior to the start of town meeting at We'll meet at 10:30 a.m. So everybody please arrive early. Guys, remember to arrive early enough to check in. Okay, so you don't want to arrive at 10:25 and then find out there's a line and you can't get checked in properly. So give
So
yourself.
for the
for that.
town meeting, are like all the COVID restrictions removed because it's past May 29th? Do we know?
I think we're still setting up basically, first of all, we'll be outside. And secondly, I'm assuming they'll still have the chairs kind of spaced.
Okay,
But if the restrictions have been removed, I'm assuming that if people want to move their chairs closer together, they'll be able to. But you know what? Let's ask on Thursday, ask the select board and the town moderator. Town moderator especially, it's her meeting. Okay, so she's wanted to ask that question of Heather.
I will not be there on Thursday. I have to go to a wake, so I will not be there.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, thank you.
yeah, are we required to attend the town logistics meeting? Because I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it.
Susan, is it a posted public meeting of the finance committee?
Yes, it is.
We have
Okay.
to have a quorum.
Yeah, so
Okay,
please, if you can, please do.
yeah, I'll try, I'll
Warren?
try. How long do we think it will be?
Oh, it's usually pretty short, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, we have
Okay.
a moderator, so hopefully it'll be short.
Yeah,
All right, I'll be there.
okay. Okay, now we need to set a date for the reorganization. So especially for our newer members. After town meeting, we shift into the next fiscal year and we quote reorganize. We may or may not have new members. In this case, hopefully the three people whose terms are up for renewal get reappointed. And we vote for the chair, the vice chair, and the clerk of the committee.
Who's all up for renewal?
I know I am one of the three. Dan, and I think Angelina, because she, yeah, right, because you were just filling
Because you're 1 year. Okay.
of Eric's term.
Mhm.
Okay, so Sue Fiacco had recommended that we meet on June 23rd. How does that date sound to the remaining members of the committee?
June what?
23rd.
Okay with me.
That's
That
fine.
works.
Everybody? And this will probably be a relatively short meeting. We'll reorg. If there's any bills or any loose business, we'll tie up any loose ends. So let's go for June 3rd at 7 p.m. Susan?
What does the finance committee like, would be like 6 o'clock or 7? What's better?
7.
I think staying with 7, it means especially, I know commuting out of Lawrence, that's preferable.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 is good. I have that lengthy commute to go from my porch to my,
Oh, stop.
What is a commute?
oh, that's right, yes.
From one room of his house to another. Okay.
So Irene, please.
Yep.
So a couple of things. So on the 27th, when we meet at 7 o'clock as to attend the logistics meeting, because we have the state of the town message voted on, we technically can end our meeting at when the logistic meeting ends. If we need to reconsider any of the articles, we can reconsider them at 10:30 on Saturday, June 5th. If that's okay with everyone present,
Works for me.
okay? And then if there's anything new that's popped up, we can take it from there. Everybody okay with that?
Sorry, Sue, I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to add the town meeting logistics to my calendar.
So 10:30 a.m. and basically we'll reconsider any votes that are necessary as a result of the logistics meeting.
Yes,
Okay,
the
So it
select-
should be about a half an hour meeting.
Yeah, because the selectmen have their regular meeting after that, I believe.
That is correct. So if we, and this is not a problem, certainly, if we, Finance Committee decides that they want to continue their meeting, we would just hop off of the logistics webinar meeting and then go on to a Finance Committee webinar.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, really it was mainly because of the state of the town message.
Yeah.
So if we're okay, that's great. And then on 6/23, when we meet, as Irene said, it'll be a fairly quick meeting, a reorg and some bills and some minutes. And then we will wait to see how Mary is doing after June 30th to meet solely for any interdepartmental transfers to end fiscal year FY21 after June 30th, between June 30th and roughly June 9th. So we would need a quorum, but it will be a brief meeting and dedicated to solely to that.
Closing out the year. Okay. So Andy, you've had your hand up for a bit.
When do we return to the municipal center for these meetings? Do we have a date set for that, or when we transition off of Zoom?
I don't know if there was a date set, but I know school committee is going back on June 16th.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess,
You'd have to find out from Evan, I guess.
yeah. Let's ask him on Thursday. Let's put that on the agenda for Thursday, Sufiako.
Okay.
Okay, Barry, you've got your hand up?
Just a small thing. Do we know if the citizens petitioners have reviewed their petition with the new town moderator?
Which ones or one?
Aren't there 2 citizens petitions?
Yeah, there's 3. Columbus Day is a citizen's petition, as is Juneteenth,
Yes.
and 25 Worcester Street.
Okay, have any of them?
My
I'm just thinking back to the nightmare I went through with my citizens petition. At the lake.
I do not know the answer to that question.
My understanding is the town council goes through all of the warrant articles before town meeting. She reads them all.
Including citizens petitions.
Yes,
Okay.
all warrant articles.
Yes.
Barry, what is your question? What are
Well-
you concerned about?
Experience has shown that the previous town moderator would render comments that might demand immediate reaction by the petitioners before, but apparently it's in the town, it's in the warrant article, so it's there, so strike that whole thing.
Okay. Will do. Do we have any other questions or comments? Barry, your hand's still up?
No, sorry, wait a minute.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so I declare the public meeting closed and will entertain, I know Mark just closes the meeting, but I think I prefer a formal motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
So
Second.
moved.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote. Angelina,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Gopal,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Sue Robbins,
Aye.
Heather,
Hi.
Barry,
Hurry, aye.
Irene, I declare the motion carried. We're adjourned.